Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of BizMeds. We are your hosts and neuroscience business coaches. My name is Saad.
And my name is Darius. And for those of you who are just joining us, don't know who we are, Saad and I help scale businesses. I myself have scaled 30 million in under 18 months without hiring additional people. And we help our clients, for example, also scale their revenue under 12 months, 32%, able to take more vacation and not hire more people and have more time back. So that's why we're here. We're going to give you the minimum effective dose for your business. And today we're going to jump into the topic.
And for today's topic, we're going to dive into how you as a business owner need to understand the art of delegation, or just talking about the art of delegation and why you might be doing it wrong and why you might be terrible at it, and how you can utilize it to make more money and scale your business.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll dive in. And the reason why we're talking about this topic today is literally because we've had business owners reach out to us and say, hey, I'm struggling with this topic. Can you guys do a topic? And we're like, hey, we're always open to great topics. Because if you're
Absolutely.
reaching out to us to want to talk about this, then obviously it's an issue. So let's dive into it. And it's not something that we haven't seen or something we help other business owners address. So we'll dive in.
So should we start off by what is it? What is delegation?
I mean, the funny thing is when you sit down with people like, oh, maybe you've experienced this.
Yeah.
Where it's, you feel like you're delegating something to someone and it's basically just handing them a package of like, here is your bag of shit now.
Yeah.
And it feels really good because they're like, well, that's not a me problem anymore. That's someone else's. That's your problem, son. It's now your bag of shit. And I think there's a lot of different things that come to mind when we think about delegation and what we think delegation means versus what we actually practice. So I don't know about you. Like, what has been your experience when in delegation, either receiving it or providing it?
So while you just brought that up, I had a little flashback of this meme that one other coworker of mine sent me from like a long time ago. And in this little clip, it's a scene from, I don't know what movie it is, but I'll have to show it to you after. But it's basically, the title says when my manager comes in and asks me to take over a project, and I ask for more details. And in the clip, it's literally like handing over a book and just running away. And you're like, what am I supposed to deliver on? What are the expectations? What am I
Yes.
working towards? And, how am I going to be measured on success?
Well, yeah, you bring up a lot of really interesting things. So my experience has been, and it's again, delegation is a skill that I think you learn. You're not innately born with the skill of being able to delegate, right?
Yeah.
And I think we accumulate a lot of really bad examples of delegation over our lifetime, and we think what delegation is versus what it actually is. And so I look at delegation as that I am entrusting, a certain outcome to someone, but I have to be very clear on what that outcome is and enable that outcome. It's not I'm just going to give it to you and hands off and let you run with it and be able to then point my finger at you at the end of it. Like, oh, you did a terrible job doing that. I always approach it from the aspect of if I point my finger at you, one of my mentors always says, look, you got 3 fingers pointing back at yourself. So you always have skin in the game. So my approach is always, and my coaching is always around, approach it the same way, is that your responsibility, like we both have responsibilities in the outcome, but I have to be able to communicate to you what those exact outcomes that I am looking to go and the time frames.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have to enable those. I have to remove roadblocks for you as the one that's going to take care of that and take it on, and then provide additional guidance and accountability around that. Not just, I give it to you and it's off my plate, therefore I don't have to think about it, but I really don't know what's going on with it. And it's going to come back to bite me in the ass later on when that person quits because I've just overloaded them with more and more things without any guidance, without any support, without anything else. So I've just essentially transferred shit down the line and it blows somebody else out the door because they're not willing to handle it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a pretty
reasonable, and it's what a lot of people have dealt with
Yeah,
It's
and
a
I think
lot. Yeah. And it you said it perfectly at the beginning is like not everybody's born with the understanding of how to delegate. It comes with a skill and understanding like what it is. So one thing that I tried doing, and I think I learned this like with working well when we first started, doing consulting together,
Mhm.
is like if I was in those shoes, what would I want to know for you to be able to be successful? Or like what would I need to be able to deliver on that
Mhm.
thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and so I think we can fuck it. We can dive
yeah.
into it now. It's the biggest risk, and this is probably why you're doing a terrible job as a business owner, is that what you think is delegating is actually abdicating.
Mhm.
It's the I'm going to give this to you. This is your problem, and I give you the book, and I run away.
Yeah, run away. Yeah.
It's not my problem anymore, and that's where a lot of business owners get caught up. And I only say that I know we say business owners, but this isn't something that we actually haven't lived through. I lived through this in my early career, in forestry and managing a lot of different people, and thinking what I was doing was delegating and just I was just basically pushing it down the line, right? And then guess what? I wasn't clear, and then we have something happen, and then I now have to take responsibility because I didn't. I mean, would I like to say I was in those moments very mature and didn't try to point my finger at someone else? Of course, I did that because I was young and stupid, and I didn't have the level of maturity and coaching and guidance that and experience that I have now. Back then, when you are that young, your early 20s, and you're managing, it's the how do I save my ass because oh my god, like there's going to be an outcome. There's going to be a negative repercussion because this wasn't done. So I'm going to point my finger,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then later, as you become more mature, you understand like, oh, like that's why I look at it and say, I'm not pointing my finger at a business owner and say, oh, you're shit at this. Well, yes, you
Mhm.
are. And it's only because you just don't know the difference, or maybe have never been made aware of the difference between delegating and abdicating. And what you think is delegating is actually just trying to relieve yourself of the responsibility so you can point your finger at it later. And I'm not saying that like you're doing it maliciously. You're not doing it like because you're a bad person. It's just that's all you've known, and you think that that is the art of delegation, and
Nope.
delegation is not that, and abdicating is not delegating. And so you want to be really careful as a business owner when you're dealing with people and you think you're giving someone, like you have to think about it, like you said, is with the outcome in mind. Like, what would that person need to be successful to be able to execute on all those things and put yourself in their shoes? And if you're receiving that, what would you need to
Mhm.
make that? And
Yeah.
what roadblocks can you then set, or can you be able to remove for them? What
Yeah.
bottlenecks can you remove?
Yeah. And the point of again, like, utilizing or understanding the art of delegation is to prevent because a lot of times we have business owners that are like, oh, you know what? Hindsight, I should have done this. Hindsight, I should have done that. And you know what they say about hindsight, right? It's the lowest form of intelligence.
And it's 2020. You always
Exactly.
look
Yeah.
back and say, "Oh, I should have done that." Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crystal clear now.
And these delegation frameworks, they help you have foresight.
Yeah.
They help you understand like what it is that you're actually trying to accomplish.
Being more proactive in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, and that's why we see that's really like the biggest contributing factor to why you're unknowingly doing a very poor job of delegating.
Yeah.
And then there's the okay, well, when do I know? So if I don't want to abdicate, well, then how do I know when and what are the things that I need to delegate? And this is where kind of I think we see kind of a split, or kind of opposing views on it, and there's probably a million different frameworks. We're going to cover 3
Yeah.
today, and it's more important like when you are looking to delegate now, how do I like what framework is really going to be helpful for me? Because we have a couple that you're going to bring forward, and then there's one that I'll bring forward, and it's kind of they feel like opposing camps of these feel very different. And
Hmm.
so how do I know, how does this actually help me understand what to delegate
Hmm. Yeah.
and when to do it?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then we'll take that and we'll tie it into, All right, then now that you have that, understand that, how do you actually use it to make you scale and make
Right.
more money?
Okay.
Okay, so why don't you, I'll let you kind of
Yeah.
introduce your frameworks first.
Okay. So the one I want to talk about, some of you might have heard about it. For those of you that don't know anything about it, it's called the Eisenhower matrix, and it's split in 4 different compartments. You got your urgent and not urgent, and then you got your important and not important. So it's either you start off with on the top left where it's urgent and it's important, or it's urgent but or it's important but not urgent. And then on the opposite end over here, we got your not important but it's urgent, and then you have your not urgent and not important. So you kind of want to be living in like this area where it's urgent and important. That is where your biggest money maker is going to be.
Actually, I would say that for a strategic standpoint, you want to be in the not urgent and important.
Yeah.
That's the most important area you want to be in.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the urgent important things are things that are like they will need some
They're actual
attention
fires. Yeah.
that will, and they don't happen as often as you would think they do. And what's again trips up a lot of people with that one is they treat everything as urgent and important. And you've probably heard this before. If everything's urgent and important, nothing's urgent or important.
Yeah.
So you can't have just raging fires all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so the idea is you want to be able to your most important things that you want to stay in are the important but not urgent, because now you have the time and energy to like devote to those.
Yeah.
And then, so from a delegation standpoint, where would you delegate? Like what side of the matrix
Well, I would
would you?
definitely be delegating the bottom part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these areas over here, this again would be your lowest priority. This one here, you could delegate with kind of because it is urgent, but it's not important.
Right.
It
So
is
for
gonna
those that
have
are listening, that's the
that's
not
the
important and not urgent, and and then not important and urgent. So those things can be delegated away
yes.
or
Yeah.
deleted.
Yeah. And you want to be spending your time on the top where it's important and urgent, or important and not urgent. Yeah.
With the understanding that not everything is urgent or important
Yeah.
at the same time. Like those are really not that common. Like those are actual emergencies and things that really require, some client calling you up because of, whatever. It's not always, it feels urgent to them, and it might be urgent, but it's certainly probably not the most important thing.
Mhm.
And some of those things can even be handled by, your team and things like that. So the idea is with the Eisenhower matrix, and again, this is like out in the ether of the internet. So you
Yeah.
can like Google it. It's been, very widely used,
Mhm.
and is a kind of good way to help you understand, okay, what are the things, but it does require you to sit down and look at your tasks and say, okay, like where do these fill in, and can I start to do that a little bit differently? And then, but you also had another one that I think you had that was similar to
Oh, I thought I
that.
was going to do that after you did yours.
Well, I want you to bring
Right.
that one up.
Okay. So the other one, I don't really have a visual for it, but so it's kind of utilizing the same, 4 different quadrants, but it is things. So I'm going to use the unfiltered version that somebody gave me. Is like shit you have control over and it's important. You want to be spending your time over there. Shit you don't have control over and it's important. Then there is shit that's not important, but you have control over. And then there's shit that you don't have control over and it's not important.
You
Right.
could plug that into that pretty nicely.
Exactly. Yeah. So it applies over here as well.
I think that's a really good, I think in terms of an additional layer of a filter you put on that would be, do you have control over it or not?
Mhm.
Right? Because again, if you have no control over it, okay, well then
Why waste your time?
why waste your time trying to
Yeah.
solve it?
Yeah.
Or try to delegate. You can't delegate stuff away that you don't have
Yeah.
any control over. So that's I think I really like that as a filter. Do I have control over it or not? Okay, cool. I don't. All right. Doesn't even make the list.
Exactly. Yeah. Get it out of here.
All right. Okay, so let's talk about this other one. So I have a book here, obviously, because I'll read through it. But it's if you've never heard of the guy, it's some work with Dan Martell and his book "Buy Back Your Time." And really, he has a great, or he has another tool in there, and he calls it the drip matrix. And drip because it's literally four things. It's a matrix, four. And it's broken down into the four quadrants, which are delegation, replacement, investment, and production. Where the delegation things are the things that, make you little money, but it drains your energy. Replacement are the things that make you money, but drains your energy. Investment are the things that make you little money, but they light you up. And production are the things that make you lots of money and light you up. So when you look at those things, I mean, I think it's very easy to then you can understand how like a lot of these things are going to be confusing. And I just want to make sure I say my next spot in there. Like to me, when I hear that versus Eisenhower matrix, I'm like, they sound so very different.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like with Dan, is production is where you want to spend most of your time because that's the thing that make you a lot of money and they light you up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's also, he's a very big proponent of the investment as well. They don't make you a lot of money, but they light you up as well. So it's kind of there's a layer of intrinsic motivation in there that, you're already excited about this thing. So you're going to be probably more inclined to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's okay, cool.
Can I hop in there quickly?
Yeah, absolutely.
So even though they're so different in terms of like just what the matrices are, I think they still work hand in hand. Because if I was planning for my business, I would use the drip matrix and from Dan Martell. And then I'd be like, okay, in the production piece, like this is where I want to be spending most of my time.
Yep.
Now I would layer in the Eisenhower matrix and be like, within the production, where is the most important and most urgent thing that I need to be doing?
Absolutely.
And then how do I go
How
through
can I
the
delegate some of those other things away?
Yeah.
Or help you reprioritize. Like in a world of finite resources, time, energy, and money.
Yeah.
Like how do I prioritize these
Yeah.
things? Yeah.
And I don't know what to call the other one. The have control over it.
That's it's more the filter, right? It's the I think on any of those, and whether it's strip matrix or the Eisenhower matrix, it's always do I have control over this or not?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah.
I think the drip matrix, it's harder because these are the activities that you do. So there's an activity you can go in there. And if you've not, I would highly recommend you just buy Dan's book, go through the exercise. Again, use it. We use these both with our clients. Mm-hmm. So, when they seem so very opposed, as you said, like they're very actually connected if you can make that connection. The problem with people is they look at them like they're two separate things. While they actually work hand in hand. But if you don't know how to connect them to make it more effective, then that's the problem. So that's what we want to do is we want to make that connection that although they seem kind of very opposed, they're actually very connected. But if you don't know how to connect them, then we're going to help you connect that. I will say there's another added piece to the drip matrix that makes this whole process even better. It's the idea of using or calculating your buyback rate.
Mm-hmm.
And your buyback rate is essentially like how much, based on your income, how much per hour could you afford to delegate or outsource? Mm-hmm. Right? So, and that calculation is really just right out of Dan's book. It's your income divided by 2,000 hours divided by 4. And so that's your buyback rate. So in his example, at $50,000 a year from your company, your buyback rate is probably $6.25 per hour. So you could basically take some of the stuff as you go through that, so your drip matrix and your Eisenhower, and say, okay, well, if I can't delegate this, but I can, or maybe part of your delegation is outsourcing it, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. Like what are those things that I can do for $6.25 an hour? There's great things like Fiverr or Upwork that you can start to use. Maybe you look at, okay, how much time would I save by doing this? And you can use that investment to say meal prep or something like that, right? That's going to do that. Because obviously those things aren't Like those aren't high on your list for like growing your business.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point, is like these are tools that you want to use to be able to grow your business,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess is the perfect segue to, okay, now how do you use these, or what is the way you can use these to scale your business? That whatever 10x that you
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah.
And this is the place where these now plug into the whole. This is why we covered the scaling playbook
Mm-hmm.
quite a few weeks back,
Yeah.
and the afterburner framework, because all of these are tools that we use to reclaim time, energy, and money. So buyback rate is we're buying back our time. Eisenhower matrix, same thing, right? We're saying, okay, we're buying back our time because we are focusing on the most important things, but we're delegating away or deleting the things that are not important. So what does that do? That saves us time, energy, maybe some money.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing that, we now have more energy, mental energy for focus, to focus on the most important, like where we're putting our attention. That's the afterburner framework. We can leverage flow state. Boom. We accelerate time. We condense time frames by increasing more towards it. But the most important, again, another part of that is the scaling framework, which is the first thing we do is stop doing stupid work. Yeah. And delegating is a way to stop doing stupid work. Mm-hmm. If you are, aligned properly. And so that's why we use these tools, because you're doing a lot of stuff you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
How do you focus on the most important things? Cool. That's the way you do that. And then this is the additional risk of delegating prematurely is, are you actually like, why are you delegating?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the whole purpose here is like, we want to reclaim time, energy, money, focus, and then redeploy that to solve a constraint. Mm-hmm. But if you don't actually know where your business is going or where you want to take your business, like delegating for the sake of delegating is, in my mind, I'm like, okay,
Yeah. What do you try to accomplish? Yeah.
for what reason? Like, is it an ego thing? Are there actual other constraints that you're going to reinvest that time, energy, money into solving?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the conversation, right? So that leads us back to solve the right problem the right way. Are we actually solving the right constraint? Mm-hmm. So we use these tools to help us solve a bigger underlying issue in the business, to focus on the most important things.
Exactly.
And that's how we scale. That's how you 10x your business, is we find those constraints, but we use tools like the drip matrix and the Eisenhower matrix together to say, okay, now we've reclaimed that. Cool. But we're also supporting, now we understand how to delegate. Like the art of delegation now is that here's are all the fundamental pieces of delegating appropriately. We're not handing it off to someone at a black box and be like, this is your black box now, and your magical box of shit. Go figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's off my plate. So you actually haven't. All you've done is delayed when that's coming back, probably a lot bigger of a problem. Because if you think about it, like you've given a task to someone that you think has been, you think you've delegated to someone. So you have a misunderstanding of expectations. They have a misunderstanding of expectation because, and they're probably not very happy because they feel they've been in something unjustly, mm-hmm. or they've been given a lot of responsibility with like no direction, no guidance. There's probably very little communication in there. Their frustration like is off the charts. Most cases they quit because of like, you will just continue to delegate to them and they become the one person that we just lean on. And if that person leaves, we have key man risk. Now we've built up like all these additional risks in the business by not delegating appropriately and understanding like, here's the key things I need delegated. And by delegating, I'm actually going to talk about outcomes. What kind of outcomes do we need? What kind of timelines? What kind of accountabilities there are? What part do I play in supporting and enabling that to remove roadblocks and also partner in that along the way? Like that's how you delegate appropriately. And by doing that, you can then free up that time and energy to scale your fucking business.
Yeah.
Do we miss anything?
No. I feel like, the one thing I wanted to talk about quickly was we talk about an entire cycles throughout in our podcast of like what it requires to make your business successful and be on top of it as a business owner. This is just another component in the whole cycle that helps you get to having your business be scalable.
Yeah. So yeah, we talk about the bigger pieces of like, here's your scaling playbook. Like these are actually how the tactics inside that work and why they work. Here's probably why you're doing it, why you're really terrible at it. Here's now actually how you use it, understand it, and apply it to the larger framework. And that's the key. That's the minimum effective dose that you need to scale your business, and using all the frameworks we keep talking about. And now we're like introducing other very specific things and to help you really move the needle and condense timeframes with it.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's a good place to stop for today.
Yeah.
I think we've done everything we set out to do in this one. So if you're just joining us or been with us, too bad. Doesn't matter. We're BizMeds. We're your neuroscience business coaches. I'm Darius.
My name is Saad.
And we are here to give you the minimum effective dose for your business. And we hope you enjoyed. If you did, if you learned anything at all that we ask from the bottom of our heart is just share it with someone. Just please share it and let them know that you found value in it. We're not sponsored. We just do this because we love business owners and we want to see you all succeed. So our ask is don't be a hoe, share the show. That's quote unquote Andy Frisella. And for those of you who've been with us and just joining us, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for joining us. We're eternally grateful for all of you that invest your time and energy with us. If you are looking at another way to, like, if you're saying, Darius, Saad, these things are great, I just don't have the time to dive into these. Cool. Then what it sounds like is that you need a solid framework for reclaiming 2 days a week, every week for the rest of your life. And that's why you should just click the link below into our Burnout to Breakthrough Masterclass, where for free in 60 minutes, we guarantee you'll reclaim 2 days a week of your life back. So you can actually implement things like this to scale your business. So that is our shameless plug there. So again, we're here for you. To our moms, my mom, thank you, love you. Saad's mom, absolutely love and thank you for all of your kind words and comments and always supporting us. And to everyone else, thank you. Remember, you're just one day away from the life you've always dreamed about. We're going to see you in the next episode.